Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And one of the other characters who got the EX upgrade, and technically the EX Unbound upgrade if you have him at level 120, is Octagram Daggrull. One of the three Octagram characters that got that upgrade alongside Summer Millam and Bride Shuna and Hinata and all that. And this Daggrull has come a very long way from being an absolute garbage bin waste of a character to what I believe is probably the second or first highest damaging Earth character in the game. What he needed was damage, and so when they did his double skill fusions, they gave him damage. 50% alt damage, 100% weakness strike for 2 turns, very, very cheap, easy to do buffs, and it's a lot better than hurting himself and lowering his defense for alt gauge and something stupid. Like, he was awful. He is awful without skill fusions. And now he is level 100, which means he is actually an EX character, so he has access to an EX alt. So on top of him getting, these nice skill fusions months ago, skill fusions are old, but now that he has an EX alt and he could use these buffs on an EX alt, it gives him a lot more power. Now, he doesn't have the 300% that base EX characters start out with, right? But it is still a lot better than what he was doing beforehand. And technically, I do have the shards to get him to Unbound status. I'm not really sold on it, though. I'm kind of waiting in the ballpark for something else. I don't know if any of the other Octagram characters are actually going to be worth it. He might be 120 in the next maybe month or so. But he does have an EX alt, and I want to showcase him with his EX alt and his personal buffs and the amount of power that we can put behind him, because he is a magic character, and there are a lot of units that buff magic now. So I figured now would be a good time. Technically, I already put him in the Jubilee videos for this month for the Frieren collab Jubilee, and people kind of saw what he can do. It was a good teaser. Now he gets his own video. Alright. I'm going to take him into the EX2 beatdown battle for the Frieren collab, just because I'm fairly confident that he can do this. I mean, they do have 700,000 HP, and, his weakness strike isn't going to do much, but if he can get the element buff, the Drago, the magic, the attack, the alt damage that he's going to get from himself, and then if we can get Isis to not be sealed in one run, then we have access to her alt resistance down skill and the magic debuff. So I think with this amount of support around him, he can reliably do, probably around 600k, so we're going to have to lower their HP a little bit, but I'm confident that we can make this happen, even type neutral. We just gotta wait until we're not sealed. Okay, so, we'll record turn 1. We got to orb change with Violet, get some blues in here so we could have access to Velzard next turn. But let's go ahead and bring him in for Violet herself, and then we can bring Isis in, and, maybe she doesn't get sealed. If she does get sealed, we're just going to reset until she's not sealed. It could take a bit. 1, 2, 3... 5,600. His animations do take a while, because he does have to, wind up his arm for some reason. But let's see if we get lucky. And yeah, no, we don't. Okay, so I'll be right back. All right, got lucky. It didn't take that long to do it, but we do not have Isis sealed, which is a huge thing. So now let's use the green buff skill, and then you notice that Daggrull doesn't really have a lot of orbs here, so a full hand of green probably won't get it. But we do have the ability to rush his own alt, increase his own secret skill gauge by 50%. His weakness strike, not going to be useful here because he's type neutral. But we can at least, bump him up a little bit more. So let's go ahead and take out Isis for Violet now, because she's got protection gauge on turn 3. Now we're going to have a full hand of greens, 2 of them going to be Daggrull. And this should be fairly good. It's not going to get him his EX alt, but we could just simply do it again next turn. We're going to have points for it, so looking good. They have alt resistance for a couple of turns. I think they reapply it though, which is kind of unfortunate. So we might have to nuke on a very specific turn to see our total damage. And here, I mean, I don't think we even need to do it, because we're gonna alt swap away with Rimuru to get a rainbow orb, and that'll give us 4 Daggrull orbs. So we're looking pretty good. We just have to get enough points to use everything now, which I think we should be able to do. So let's take Violet out. We can also get Veldora's ult too as backup damage, technically, quote unquote. So orb change that. Okay, another Velzard. This will get his EX ult, and I think their resistance is leaving next turn. Okay, so that's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Maximum points, so we're gonna have 180. I think we should have enough to do that. Might have to go 1 extra turn, and there's no harm in that. It's just after turn 5 we lose the Isis buff, which is kind of the important thing. Okay, can we nuke here? So 1, 2, 80, and 50. Okay, we don't have enough to do that. Unfortunate, but maybe I should have just alt rushed him and sent him away with an attack buff instead. Maybe that's a better way to get around it. So let's do the alt buff. Let's forego the attack buff from Rimuru. I mean, it would help. I don't know if it's going to help as much as we want it to. So let's do the magic buff here. Boom. And then we do have enough. The Drago skill from Isis isn't going to matter. Like, we have enough points to use it, but we're already getting Drago from Velzard, and we're not piercing on this stage, so there's no point in using it. And yeah, see, we don't have enough. But is this enough damage? Or do I have to hold on to the buff? Do I have to maybe get a little bit luckier and be able to hold the alt buff, or the attack buff? Let's find out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's make... I don't think I've nuked with Daggrull since the Jubilee video, but just in case. It's a very simple skill. I don't really understand it, but like he is a giant, yeah. And so it would make sense that his giant fucking fist is coming right for you. 416k. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna need the attack buff in order to reliably have a chance at nuking everyone down. I think Yuki is dead here, but the other two are still alive, so we might have to come back for a little bit more RNG. Does he reapply the alt resist? He does. Okay, so that's the thing, is that we would have to be able to do it on turn 4, otherwise they reapply their alt resistance. Let me try this again and see if we can't get a little bit luckier. But I think that's pretty good damage for type neutral from Daggrull, right? Daggrull. And we also don't have his weakness strike active either, because we're not type advantage. Okay, gonna make a quick change, because that got real tired of that real quickly. So, still Velzard, still Violet, still Rimuru. We've swapped in Diablo for Veldora, and then we've taken out Isis for the 2nd anniversary Shizu, who doesn't really see a lot of use. So today we're going to give her a little bit of love. And the idea is that no matter what, 1, none of our skills are going to be sealed, and 2, we can double alt rush. Once with Daggrull, 50%, and then Shizu does it, I think, 30% for magic allies, which Daggrull is magic. So this should work a little bit better, and we have different buffs now, so synergy power 100%, like that's really good. That's really good. So let's try it out. Okay, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to keep Daggrull in the back and then bring him in for whoever has the most orbs. I've also switched the charm on Velzard from the protection gauge charm to the alt gauge on green charm. So with that combined with Diablo's 50% green buff, which is not as good as Veldora's, but hey, whatever. It should be enough, along with the double alt rushing that we're going to do. And Shizu has a reset. It's one time, but it's going to reset, and it makes things really nice and easy. So here, Rimuru, sure, okay. I mean, technically he's type advantage, but he's not the point of the video. So let's green buff, and then we'll bring Daggrull in. We've got 57 points to burn, so we could do a couple of things here. We could double alt rush, probably. So Shizu, yeah, 30% gauge increase, and then Daggrull's 25 points for 50%, so that's 80% alt gauge for free, and then we can reset literally all those skills we just used. And then Velzard, now we have 3 Daggrull orbs, 80% extra alt gauge, the green buff, the charm giving us extra alt gauge on green orbs, and this should be fairly easy. Oh, okay, well, we're going to alt rush one more time then. I actually kind of thought that would get us there. Overestimating a bit. Oh well, I mean, we've reset all the skills, so they're not going to be overly expensive, quote-unquote, right? And that still gives us enough points to use, like, Diablo's buff here. So we'll just alt rush, plus the alt resistance down on the skill will just help us do more damage as well. So, Shizu's skill, boom, now we've used both of her skills to great effect, technically. And then we can just hold on to the synergy power buff. And then here, we could be funny with it. Yeah, let's swap out Shizu. Since she doesn't technically have an alt, we'll bring Rimuru in, Rainbow alt swap, and then we can take Daggrull out, and then we could use the green buff from Diablo because we've reset it back down to 0. So now we've got 2 rainbow orbs, full hand of greens that are buffed now. This should give us enough points to use the magic buff and the attack buff next turn when that alt resistance falls off, and we didn't have to play around with the stupid seal. So boom, there we go. 131 is enough, plus the 30 that we're going to get from Velzard just passively means that we have enough points. So, this should go a lot better, all things considered. We are missing a little bit of alt resistance down because, 20%, 25%, not nearly as good as 120%, but also we were sealed for like 20 runs in a row, and I was tired of doing that. So attack buff, magic buff, the alt buff from Daggrull, we got the points for it, and technically a heal for 1 point. And then the Drago buff is going to make it so it's a 100% magic buff, 120% synergy power, and 120% magic, 120% synergy, 84% attack or something, somewhere around there, 80% ish. And so now Daggrull with his giant fist of doom. Let's see what he does. Confidence that we can still kill, that we can make him do damage with enough support. There we go. All right, 860, and then we crit for. Okay, well, we still killed. We crit, which you don't want to crit this fight. Okay, but there we go. We proved that, given enough support, Daggrull can nuke. Poorly little Daggrull. Let's put him on an actual Earth team now. Alright, when I say Earth team, like, I mean Earth team, but we're going to go into the old Tempered Edge against Leon and Velzard. Gotta use our EX, AoE, Earth Diablo. We've already put Elmesia in here a bunch of times. We know she does a butt ton of damage by herself. Like, that's not new. And Daggrull already has his own ult buff, so it's like we don't need that. Like, yes, we could use Elmesia and she would buff him up, but we're going to use the old first anniversary Dark Veldora. Free to play Aaron because we need her turn 1. Free to play Isis for the blue orb changing, so we've got the oranges and blues covered. We've got Idol Shuna for the green alt swap because we're running a green team, and the synergy because the stages doesn't have any defense against that. Daggrull, and then we brought technically EX Awakened Earth Mirren for her stat swap ability and the stacking Earth buff. So every 2 turns you get an extra 15%. This caps out at 90, so you got to be in the fight for a hot minute. But also reverses the stats of all of our allies, which Daggrull has actually higher defense than attack. So when we go into the fight, when we use that stat swap, we're suddenly going to have a little bit extra attack on top of the magic buff that Veldora is giving, and the earth buff, and the synergy buff. And it's not going to do a butt ton of damage, but it's a whole bunch of old units, and we could say that we've used them together. Congratulations. Yeah, EX Daggrull. So, it is nice that these old characters are getting upgrades. Like, we've done Yuki. Hinata got an Unbound upgrade because I have her at 120, but she was already an EX character, so it's not, like, the biggest difference. More so her skill fusion helped her out than anything else. Side note, we are running the skill point units. Soe and Lumi were underneath there, so we have 42. So we could use the Orb Change and the Isis green buff. Get us nice and started on our gauges here. And then we'll bring Daggrull in for Isis, and she's got another orb incoming. And we'll bring Mirren in for Aaron. And we'll go ahead and send these attacks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Boom. Still gets us a Veldora, gets us a lot of points, gets us a lot of gauge to start out with. We do need the EX ult for Daggrull, who can ult rush. And then we have our ult swapping characters. Okay. Well. Uh. That's unfortunate. I can't deal with 3 oranges, so let's go ahead and alt rush him. Boom. Let's also put the passive healing on so we can heal back some of this damage, and then we'll just send these oranges and get them out of here. And then we'll reset with Veldora next turn and hopefully orb change. Yes. Orb change. Okay. Boom. Thank you for that. Oh, do we have enough points for that? We should. It's only 15, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let's get Isis out here for you. And then we will blue convert. And then we'll get Aaron out of here. Aaron out here for Frieren. And then we'll reset all these other skills. And then we can use the orb change for Aaron now. And we can probably turn all this off. Let's see. On. Turn it off by turning it on. Alright, there's a full hand of green. Buffed up still by the Isis buff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gets us close to a dagger alt, so we could either just alt swap away with him again, or we could use his alt rush ability, which I don't really see a need to do. Well, we might use it later on, because, oh, well, maybe we do need to use it soon. We're not going to get that many stacks of the Earth attack, because we're just not going to be in this fight for very long, because he's kind of strong. He has his extra weakness buff. Isis is taking a lot of damage, because she is not type advantage. Okay, but hey, that works for us. So, let's do the alt rush again, that way we keep our weakness strike. Orb change. Boom. Boom. We'll take Isis out. The green buff is no longer active, so let's reapply that. Boom. We'll bring Shuna in for Isis. And then we can... yeah, we can reset with Veldora again. And this will reset the orb change for Aaron and the alt swap for Shuna. So boom, boom. We're looking pretty good now. And Frieren can come in for Shuna, I guess. And crit defense and max HP, which doesn't really matter here. But let's send it against Velzard, because otherwise I think Leon would just die. I mean, he still might die. We've got the magic buff and the weakness strike. Okay, no, we're fine. Okay, I mean, you build a team around him, and he'll take on some low content. I don't know a lot of people that are going to have dupes in Daggrull, because unless he's double skill fused, he's really, really bad. But hey, it's certainly something you can do. So we are at 45% Earth attack. So let's bring Shuna up here. We have enough points to actually nuke now. So we've got the synergy buff. Magic allies get synergy rate and 50% synergy power. We've got the stat swap. So before we do that, so let's take a look at Daggrull. He's got 12... well, okay, well, that's a lot higher. 12.3 defense, 12.357 attack. If we stat swap, it's actually not going to do much for us, unfortunately. And so now that we've reversed his stats, there's a little bit of a heal for fun. And now we look at his stats, and it's now 1347 to 11657. Because there's a trait kicking in here, 6% attack. So that's why his attack stat was a little bit higher. But now that we've swapped it, his base defense is now higher than his base attack. And now it's being increased again by that percentage. So that's why it's now like not the same number. But 70% magic buff means that Veldora is capped out, and now we can successfully nuke with Veldora, or not Veldora, but Daggrull against this very easy old stage, and we can be done. You know, 490. That's not bad. I mean, he is type advantage now, and his weakness buff actually matters. So, hey, I'd call that fairly successful. It was not a very strong team by any means. Lots of old units. But Daggrull, EX Alt. EX Upgrade Daggrull, double skill fuse Daggrull, pretty good. And so when there are future Jubilee fights, like what we have currently, if we go into Heroes Jubilee that's active right now, there is a normal battle that wants you to have an Earth unit. Right here, normal battle 2, Earth Magic. Daggrull is Earth Magic. Maybe you don't have Almizia because you didn't pull for her and you didn't get lucky in any of the free summons that we've had for the past couple months. But maybe you have Daggrull. And you have an excess of Octagram emblems because you've bought Lumi and you've bought Guy and you're like, who do I get now? Maybe you pick up Daggrull because he's not a bad unit. You just have to skill fuse him twice, which might be a big ask. But let me know what you guys think about this this upgraded version of Daggrull. Probably the second best Earth character to come out right now. But that's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.